Hello, Darren the Magic Ghostbuster here. So this video is just talking a little bit about Ghostbusters collecting in general and the Guinness World Record and just the process, basically, about how I got that and what I had to go through. Just talk about new this week so far. Just did the London Film Comic Con at the weekend with the Southend on Sea Ghostbusters, where I play in Vigo. So always have a lot of fun playing Vigo. Always it's just fun being the villain, I think, sometimes, rather than a Ghostbuster. Everyone wants to be Ghostbusters. So, yeah, a lot of fun being Vigo. Did get a few little bits here. This was cool. It's a Sedgwick Hotel bag. Obviously not official. This is made by, I can't remember the name of the company now, but I thought this was quite cool. So there's that. My whole team bought one each, so they haven't got many left now. A few other updates. I've managed to get a few of the popcorn bucket stuff now from America. So I think with that sort of stuff, you need to be patient sometimes, because everyone panics and spends loads and loads of money on this stuff, and then it ends up coming down. So I think the best example of that is that Prime drink that all the kids were going crazy over, and people paying hundreds of pounds a bottle. There's a shop over the road that can't sell it for £1 now. But yeah, so this has got this plush, which I thought was kind of cool. Not really sure why they put 3D glasses on him, considering 3D films doesn't really seem to be in anymore. I don't know if there's any 3D films. Hello, Mark. Actually, well deserved, bud. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, that's really nice of you to say. You've mastered quite a lot already. Excellent. Always good to hear. This was cool. Funny enough, I've had a couple of eBay sellers who have sent me the wrong things by mistake. So I'd ordered this and got sent this one by mistake. They didn't even have this one listed, but kept it and got this one. Ordered that, so it all worked out. And this is a magnet inside, so you can sit him on your shoulder. Then got the old sipper cup, which is double-sided on the head, so you can turn that around. I've got some other stuff in other places, and then the old popcorn bucket, which again, I'm trying to think now. They'd sent me this. No, hold on. I'm trying to think out. No, I'm getting everything mixed up. My brain is all over the place at the moment. So I'd ordered this, and they'd sent me this by mistake. I already had one of these. So they sent me a replacement one of these, and they're very kind and actually let me keep the second one of this. So I've actually got two of these. So I'm half thinking of keep one in the bag and one to use, maybe. So, Mark, if you are still there, what is your favourite thing in your collection? Just that curiosity. So I have a couple of favourite things of mine. Probably my Five Alive drink. If you watch my Guinness World Records video I've done, I do go over a few of the things. There's a Five Alive drink. Five Alive was my favourite drink when I was younger. And then probably my Ghostbusters Christmas cracker box. But anyway, so I'll talk a little bit about the Guinness World Record and the process involved in getting it. So first up, I need to give a shout out to Robert O'Connor, who was the first person to do the Guinness World Record for Largest Ghostbusters Collection, which he did in 2020, I think. So he's had it about 4 years. And he counted 1,221, if I remember right. I might be slightly off with my numbers. So, and it was seeing that really inspired me to go for this. So if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have done this. Like I said, he was the first, and he will always be the first. So that's very cool. And it's been in the back of my mind of doing it for a couple of years. But the actual process is so long-winded. I actually wonder if other people have tried to beat his record and then realised the work involved and didn't bother. Because I must admit, I got to a point where I nearly didn't bother or nearly gave up. So they have certain rules as well. So they only count official items, which is fair enough. Because I've seen, I've had a little bit of negativity from people, right now, oh, I've got more than you. And I know I've seen a lot of comments on Robert's previous stuff when he got it, people saying that. And I always just say, put up or shut up. Unless you want to go down the road and prove it, your words literally mean nothing. So, if you've got more, prove it, get the record, and I'll give you a thumbs up and a well done. Absolutely. But until then, shut up, basically. But I just remember seeing someone comment on one of Robert's things back when he had the record, and it said, I've got more than that in artwork alone. Now, the trouble is, you go to a convention, like I said, I was at London Film Comic Con. You see a lot of artwork, but a lot of this wouldn't count towards the record because a lot of this is artists, very good artists, but it's not authorized. It's not official stuff. Because if they were going to count unofficial stuff, I could sit here for a week with 3,000 post-it notes and do doodles, and then say that's the record broken, and so that's not how that works. It has to be official stuff. No duplicates, which again makes sense. A friend of mine, Chris Carter, very good friend of mine, I would say he's probably got a similar amount of stuff to me. But the difference between me and him is he has a lot of duplicate stuff. So he has I think he has 7 of the Kenner Firehouses, and that would still count as one. And again, that makes sense to me because otherwise the record holder would probably be Hasbro's warehouse in China, where they've got 20,000 Ecto-1 toys sitting or whatever. So yeah, and they also say this one's a little bit more open to interpretation, commercially available items. So to me, that doesn't include film props, cinema displays, things like that, because they're not commercially available. You have to be lucky, know someone, or get in with someone to get those things, so they don't count either. To me, that should count personally. If someone's got, an original, say someone had an original proton pack from the original film, how can you say that doesn't count as an item? But there you go. And talking of proton packs, so my Ben Kent proton pack, again, very, very good proton pack, but that didn't count either. The Hasbro Plasma Series one did. One other thing, because someone messaged me asking about how they count one item, and they thought a figure, like the one of the original Kenner figures, would count as 4 items. It counts as 1. And their logic was a figure, a proton pack, a ghost, and a card. That's one item. I'm not really sure how that thought process worked, but that's one item. And it's the same if you just trying to think now. I've got some 2 packs of the Mini Mates figures. I've got loads over there. That still counts as one item. There's 2 figures in it, but it was sold as one thing, so that counts as one item as well. All right, hold on, let me just read what Marcus said. I think my favourite pieces so far would have been the full set of real Ghostbusters figures in Ecto-1 I've got. Had them as a kid and absolutely fell in love with anything Ghostbusters. It really is hard to beat the stuff you had as a kid. I mean, one of my favourite things, unfortunately, when I was a kid, my dad sold a lot of my original stuff, so a lot of my Kenner stuff is stuff I've bought again as an adult, in better condition, I guess, because I completely destroyed half those stuff as kids. But I still have my original Stay Puft figure, and to me, I mean, the condition of it's not great. It's probably worth 20 quid. I'm not really up to date with values on this sort of stuff, but to me, it's priceless. Someone offered me £200 for that. It's like I couldn't take it because it's my original. So yeah, it's very hard to beat that sort of stuff. But yeah, anyway, so that's the sort of stuff that doesn't count towards the record, and the stuff that does count. So it has to be official stuff, no duplicates, which makes sense. So the process is you have to video yourself filming it, and it has to be one continuous video, and it needs 2 witnesses. Now, one of these witnesses has to be an expert. The other doesn't have to be an expert. I asked for clarification on what an expert was, and so someone within the Ghostbusters community, you have to send evidence of their credentials, basically. So I used a guy who was the leader of the South End and Sea Ghostbusters, a guy who started it, Kieran. He was my expert, and I had to send proof that he was an admin of that page, evidence of what he's done in the Ghostbusters, community, all that sort of stuff. And then the other guy was James. Still very much a Ghostbusters expert, in my opinion, but didn't have to count as a Ghostbusters expert, if that makes sense. It could have been anyone, that second one. So you have to count everything. And now it's funny because I could count it at home. When I talked to Robert, he said it had to all be taken into a hall and laid out. So I wonder if it's different per country or just depends on what caseworker you get, maybe. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it has to be very clear. So so when you're counting it, you go 1, 2, 3, maybe in view of the camera, obviously. So that's the first stage of doing it. And obviously, there's a lot of stuff here, and in the video, I'm digging stuff out, moving stuff, getting stuff to the back because it's gotten so much now. There's stuff behind the stuff. So that was the first stage. There's a lot more to it, and that was probably the easiest stage, believe it or not. We didn't end up counting quite a bit as well. So let me just read. Chili VR. I love Ghostbusters. You're in good company, mate. Mark, they're all sealed and in mint condition. Collect everything steel boxed and untouched. Quite OCD. I totally get what you mean. I'm very much like that. I opened my Diamond Select figures because I wanted to display them with the Ghost's Temple and the Firehouse backdrop. There's part of me that regrets not getting mint ones because I do like stuff mint in box. I didn't like the packaging on those ones, I must admit, but I still wish I'd got them. But generally speaking, I'm an inbox collector as well. So I'm not going to play with them. So maybe I do sometimes. I've got to say now. Yeah, so we did the video. One thing I didn't realize, you also have to put a number on that video. So as I'm counting, so when I go 1, a 1 has to appear on the screen, and then when I pick up the second item and 2, a 2 would have to come up. So I realized that later on, and I had to redo the video, which was really annoying watching me count stuff again. But so once you've done that, you then have to do a database of every item. So every item has to be photographed, and it has to be listed. So it has to have a title, it has to have a description, and it has to have the photo next to it. Obviously, as the numbers, they have to be in the same order you count them as in the video. The bit that probably done my head in the most was it then has to have the timestamp it appears in the video. So you're constantly going. So how I did it was I had the document open and the video, and you're literally going backwards and forwards. And you're writing like 00.00.01, then back down to 00.00.03 and so on. That took so long. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was absolutely ridiculous. I'm trying to think now the dates, because we counted it in one day, and then I must have been a couple of months doing all the paperwork and everything for it. The official date I put down was the 7th of January, which was the date I submitted the evidence. No, was that the date I submitted the evidence or the date we count? I can't remember now. It was either the date we counted or the date I submitted the evidence. I can't remember. So the 7th of January was not when I found out about it either. I found out about it like 3-4 months later. No, it was later than that, I think. I'm trying to think. It was just before Ghostbusters Day. Yeah, so in June. Yeah. Mental, isn't it? How quick time goes. It's scary. But yeah, anyway, so I had to do that database, and then I submitted it. Now, they have 2 things you can do. You can either submit it, and they will reply to you within 12 weeks. Although when I did it, it said it could take up to 16 because of so many people, sending different records in. It was almost 12 weeks to the day I got a message saying, can you add those numbers to the video that I spoke about just now? Adding the 1, 2, 3, 4 in the corner. So I had to redo that, send that. And then I think it was about 3 to 4 weeks after that. So I guess it was about 16 weeks until I actually got the official record through. And was so excited when I got that news. Very happy, especially after all the work that is involved. And you can actually pay, that's free. I don't have to pay. Didn't have to pay for them to look at it. But there was a service, and I can't remember how much it was. I think it was about £300-400, where they will look at your evidence within 5 days, I think it was. And to me, I was happy to wait because I put in all that work, and I was just like, if I pay £400 or £500 and then they reject the claim or say something's not, right with it, and I just thought it'd be money down the drain. So I thought I'd do it, wait the 12 weeks. See what happens, and luckily it come through, because I was paranoid, like I said earlier, that they don't count duplicates. And although I don't have many duplicates, to be fair, I have a couple of duplicates. I was just paranoid in my head that I'd done a duplicate that I'd missed, and they'd have picked it up and said claim rejected. Though I'm not sure if they'd be that harsh, or I think they would have just cut down the number, so to speak. But the official number is 2012. And like I said, there was a lot more, and I've bought so much more since, so much more. And again, when I was speaking to Robert O'Connor, he said it was the same. You know, his official number was 1,221, I think. I'm sure that was the number. But you know, again, he had so much more as well. When we were counting it, I was thinking if I can get to 2,000, and then I'll go a little bit over that because I think 2,000 is a good number. And then if I go like a few over, so I went 12 over, I thought that gives me a bit of leeway. So if they come back and say, oh, these 12 items don't count, or 5 items don't count, it means I'd still be over 2,000. But I mean, they didn't reject anything. So, and again, I'm not sure what would have happened if I'd made a mistake. So there's that. Train of thought is now going. What was I saying? So yeah, I got 2012. There's part of me that regrets now not stopping at 1,984 because obviously it's the year Ghostbusters came out. I think that would have been cool. I didn't think about it at the time because obviously I was trying to think if they reject a couple of items. If I went for 1,984 and they rejected 2, it would have been 1,982, and then it wouldn't have looked as cool. So there's that. A certificate. What's the certificate? You get one of these free. You get one free certificate, and then they charge £25 if you want any additional certificates. The frame was not free, but and I haven't really got anywhere to hang it, I'll be honest. But I mean, the frame's cool. Probably not worth the money that they charge for the frame, but I just thought it's the official frame. So yeah, I just thought I'd get it. But yeah, they had loads of other little bits of merch on there as well, like little medallions, commemorative medallions, that sort of thing, which I thought was quite cool. But yeah, so I'm not really sure if there's much else I can really say about the record, but that was the kind of the process I went through. Obviously, if you're online and have any questions, please go ahead. I did have a question. If I'm just going to look on my phone and find this, someone did ask a question. It's easy for me to find it on my phone and find it on the laptop because I'm not worried I'll disconnect everything. Where are you? Not the best technology. I have one of my main camera that I do all my videos with broke the other day, so not been in the best mood this week, to be honest. The screen's cracked and it won't. I can aim it still with the viewfinder, but I just like to be able to see. It sounds really arrogant. I like to see myself. I just find it easier to set up. But I've ordered a replacement screen, so it looks like an easy fix. I might do a video on that as well. I mean, I'm going to have to record that on my crappy phone. I can't record it with the camera. But all right, where's this question someone asked? Here we go. Right, so Ghostbusters Collector 8593 says, toy lines such as G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Masters of the Universe consist of figures which are very distinct from one another, whereas the Ghostbusters all wear the same uniform and use the same equipment. Do you think that this lack of variation presents a problem for Ghostbusters toy sales? Okay, so it's an interesting take. Could definitely be onto something there. I certainly think that's probably more true for the film Ghostbusters figures. Because, like you say, they're all wearing the same uniform. They look very similar. And I mean, one problem we've had with more modern Ghostbusters toys is there hasn't been a lot of variety outside of that. Like Hasbro, I don't think Hasbro particularly have treated the license very well. They haven't even done a Slimer. I reckon you not do a Slimer. I think the trouble is when a new company takes over the toy license, they've got to do the 4 Ghostbusters. You can't really not do that. I mean, NECA did do that back in the day because they couldn't get the likeness rights. Really, you should be doing a Slimer, and I guess you've got to do a Stay Puft. I think the best toy line in more recent years, and I'm thinking this more as a toy line rather than a thing for a collector, is probably the Playmobil stuff, because that was a great line. You got the car, you got the Firehouse, you've got a good variety of figures. But yeah, I think you definitely could be onto something. There isn't a lot of variety there, and I think if you look at it from more of a toy aimed at kids rather than something aimed at more people like me and collectors, is I guess some of the characters may not be as much of an interest in a toy line. Like, I can't imagine kids wanting to buy Walter Peck, for example. Hello, Brick TV. Yeah, because that's not going to be the most exciting play thing, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I think you could be right there. Obviously, G.I. Joe, you got all the vehicles and all that sort of stuff, lots of different Transformers. And I mean, when you even look back to Kenner back in the day, obviously you had the 4 Ghostbusters. I guess the good thing about the 4 original Ghostbusters was they had real Ghostbusters, sorry, is they had different coloured jumpsuits, which added a bit of variety. You got the Ecto one, you got the Firehouse, but then beyond that, they basically made up their own things. They made up all these new vehicles and put the Ghostbusters in wacky costumes, and done so many different ghosts that didn't appear in the TV show. I mean, they could have done lots of ghosts that appeared in the TV show, but they made up their own. But yeah, so there's not a lot, I guess, to draw from a toy perspective, I guess. So you could be onto something, definitely. Do you ever think Lush, the bath bomb shop, will ever have a Ghostbusters collab? Possible. I'm sure I saw someone on a group recently post a picture of a Turtles thing from Lush, but I don't know if that is a modern thing or an old thing. I know they've done ectoplasm bath bombs or shower gel or something. I can't remember now. I don't go in Lush very often other than Christmas, but it wasn't. I'm not a Ghostbusters thing, but it seems like the natural collab. But whether they do it or not, who knows? I don't know if Lush is very prominent outside the UK. I have no idea, to be honest. But yeah, it would make sense. And when you think about it, when you think a lot of the Ghostbusters stuff that they've put the Ghostbusters license on, probably the weirder one at the moment is I think it's called EHP Labs. It's like a fitness brand. So they do like protein shakes, fat burners, all that sort of stuff. And Ghostbusters is not the thing that springs to mind when I think of health and fitness. Slimer, it doesn't look exactly healthy. Stay Puft doesn't look like he's been on the fat burners, so a bit of a weird one. But like shower gels and stuff, would make total sense. And just make it look like slime or something. So yeah, I definitely think there's potential there. But again, whether they do it or not, I mean, I think the Ghostbusters merch thing's a bit weird at the moment. Like, there could have been so much more for Frozen Empire, I think. I think one of the craziest things is that Hasbro just didn't re-release the Mini Puffed figures, because obviously the Mini Puffs are in Frozen Empire now, and the Mini Puffs are massively popular. I mean, on our stand at London Film Comic Con, we had some 3D printed Mini Puffs we were selling for someone. We sold out of them like that instantly, and then all our display ones just constantly all day. People were saying, how much are they? It's like, they're not for sale, but you can go here and get them to this website. And yeah, and I just think they should have re-released them in Frozen Empire packaging. I think just seems like a no-brainer to me. And I don't really get why they didn't. I mean, all the tooling's done. All they have to do is re-release them, maybe put Frozen Empire in the box. And, I know some people didn't like Frozen Empire, but I'm sure whatever your opinion is on the film, if you like the Mini Puffs, doesn't matter. But and then, of course, the Plasma Series figures got nothing. The Frozen Empire little Fright Features figures were pretty much non-existent outside of America. I saw some at the Comic Con the other day. I didn't buy them because they were too much. Yeah, I really don't get it. And actually, going back to the question earlier, that Ghostbusters Collector asked about the variety. Obviously, the red jackets, it caused a little bit of fuss, because obviously I think everyone thought from the trailer that they were all going to be wearing red jackets all the time. And of course, we only had Phoebe and Lucky wearing them for not very long at all. But that would have added a lot of variety for figures and stuff. It's funny with the old red jackets, because a lot of people were taking the mick out of the people that bought them for cosplay. But then they weren't really in there any less than the grey jumpsuits in Ghostbusters 2. So, but anyway, Brick TV, they should have made a Garaka Plasma Series figure. Absolutely agree. They should have done. I mean, they should have done more than that. But the Plasma Series line, I think I was saying earlier, like, how can they have not done a Slimer at the very least in the Plasma Series line? And really should have done a Muncher during, like, you know, along with the Afterlife figures, because it's a shame. I really think, like, I think the best figure line has probably been the Diamond Select one. Not necessarily for detail, but, you know, we had a good variety of figures. You got those play sets you could make up, the Ghostbusters Temple, the Ghostbusters Firehouse, you know, and you got a lot of the figures. And I think if they'd kept the license, we would have got a Muncher in that line and probably a Garaka and everything going forwards. But you lay out all the Hasbro ones together, and it's just this big wall of beige, basically, because you've got, you know, the original 4 Ghostbusters, you've got the original 3 surviving Ghostbusters looking a tad older. Then obviously you've got the younger Ghostbusters all in jumpsuits, and then you've got Phoebe in the box set. And that was another thing that didn't make sense to me, how they put Phoebe in a convention exclusive box set with obviously Egon's spirit, when really she's the main character. She should have been in the main line. But yeah, I'm not massively impressed with the Hasbro line massively. It does, that the old HasLab thing does seem to be hinting towards an Ecto 1 for that. So we'll see what happens. If they do, I really think they need to add some Ghosts of Stretch Goal, Slimer and Muncher, and Grack would be cool. Paul Ravenscroft, what have you wrote? Was there an item you missed out on, maybe because you didn't have money at the time, for example, that you wish you had now? Mine was a Diamond Select Spectral Figures pack. I'll have to think about that. There's probably definitely things. I mean, I had a lot of stuff to my watch list on eBay, and then every now and again when I look at it and I see something's added, I'm like, oh bugger. But I can't think of anything specific that I massively missed out on. I do remember one thing, actually. It was a load of, I've got a sealed 5 Alive carton, and I remember a job lot. This must be about, I'm trying to think, this must have been 2019, because I actually remember where I was. Weirdly, when I was bidding on this, I was actually working in a horror house at Halloween, ready to jump out at people with a chainsaw. And someone had a job lot. I think it was about 10 empty 5 Alive cartons of all the different holograms on there. I have the holograms on a poster, but I just thought all these cartons was massively cool. And they're all empty. And I was bidding on it, and then the signal there wasn't great, and I couldn't bid it. I didn't go for, it went for a lot for some old cartons, really, but not more than I was willing to pay. And yeah, I just missed out on it, and gutted on that one. I mean, I technically have the stuff already, but I just would have liked loads more of those cartons, because they very rarely come up. So that's one, definitely. And one I did manage to get very recently was the old Stunt Kite, which I did manage to get fairly recently, but missed out on that years and years and years ago. Yeah, nothing else is springing to mind at the moment. And Brick TV, the Ghostbusters in the red suit figures, Garaka, Pukey, the 3 different faces, and the new Slimer figure. Yeah, that would have been massively cool. Massively cool. Definitely should have done that. The Spectral figure pack, Paul. I managed to get that when I went to New York. I got it from GameStop. No, hold on, am I getting the right? Yes, it was. Yeah, the Spectral figure pack was the one that came with Stay Puft, and did it come with a Slimer? I can't remember now. I've got it somewhere in here. But yeah, that's, yeah. I hope you find one soon, mate. In fact, do you know what? I'm gonna sort of browse eBay quickly and see if that is on there, just out of curiosity, because I've no idea what that sort of stuff goes for now. I don't really keep massively up to date with values on a lot of stuff. Like once I've got something, I've kind of got it, so I don't like obviously, because I collect a lot of people do tend to ask me how much something is worth, and I'm probably the worst person to ask because, like I said, once I've got it, I just don't really pay much attention beyond that, generally. But yeah, so let's have a look. Diamond Ghostbusters Diamond Select Spectral. Let's see what that's worth now, if they're even on there. Actually, do you know what? There was one thing actually, Paul, that I did miss out on, but it wasn't Ghostbusters. It was actually a Jurassic Park thing, and I'm not really a Jurassic Park collector, but there was a San Diego Comic Con exclusive of the T-Rex when it was about to eat the lawyer on the toilet, and I just thought it was so funny, like the way he was sort of up like this in the box set. And I remember seeing one of them fairly cheap on eBay when it come out, and was like, "Ah, I don't have room for Jurassic Park stuff. You know, I've got too much Ghostbuster stuff as it is." And I didn't get it, and did always regretted that. And every time I've looked, the price has just gone up and up and up, more than I'm willing to pay on a Jurassic Park things. Like I said, I'm not really a collector. Yeah, shame. Okay, right, let's have a look. Thanks for commenting on my video and tagging your channel. No problem, thank you. Hello, Alejandro. Oh, I'm glad it made your day, Brick TV. More than happy. It's always good when you can make someone's day. I remember you making the park. I do remember that. Normally my memory's terrible, but I do remember some things. I'm having no luck finding this Spectral figure set on eBay, by the way. So the only box set I'm seeing is the slimed box set that they did. So yeah, that looks like hopefully it comes up. I do think sometimes I get lucky on eBay. I have had a few bargains turn up occasionally. So you never know. You never know. And I think sometimes as well, the newer stuff almost takes away attention from the older stuff, and sometimes it's easier to get the older stuff because everyone's panicking about getting the latest popcorn bucket or plasma series figure. But yeah, it's a cool box set. I did ding mine slightly in the case when we went to America, which I'm sure it's 2019. We went sort of late September, so the Spirit Halloweens were open. I ended up buying an extra suitcase to fit loads of the stuff in, because that was when they were doing a lot of the, not necessarily the prop stuff, but they were doing like pathway lights of Slimer and all this sort of stuff, which I don't think they've done much of that since. But yeah, really cool just to get all that sort of stuff. Love all that. Oh, this is another thing I forgot to mention. So I managed to get these, the older Rice Krispie treats. So they come up on eBay. So I was looking for these when I went to New York earlier this month. Didn't find them anywhere. So yeah, I had to pay about 20 quid for those shipped, which was more than I'd normally pay for Rice Krispie treats. But yeah. One other cool thing I've got a video coming on this, is I managed to get a salesman sample recently on some of the old vintage birthday cards, which was very cool. Will you be able to get Roblox? I want to show. To be honest, I completely forgot to look. It's been one of those weeks where just loads of stuff has gone wrong. Like I was saying earlier, I think before you joined, that my main camera broke. So just been so stressed. Yeah, that was really annoying. But yes, I will look at Roblox. I don't know. It really depends on if I have to pay for it or not, and if it's on my Xbox. But I'll have a look. Do you have any Oh, hello, Ghostbusters fan 94513. Do you have any prototypes in your collection? I don't think I do, actually. I've never massively. I know you've got a prototype, because I think you told me about it, because we met in New York. I'm sure you told me about that in New York. I do remember you telling me about you getting a prototype, and I think you got it for a really good deal, if I remember right. Was it one of the Matty collector figures? But no, I don't think I have any prototypes. I'm not massively not against prototypes at all. They're cool. It's very rare that they come up for a price I'm willing to spend, because I think every time I've seen them, they've been hundreds of pounds, and it's more than I'm willing to spend personally. But yeah, the one you got, if I'd seen that before you, I would have bought it. It's free on Xbox. Okay, I will definitely check that out. You have the Matty Collector E. Yes, that's right. Yes, I remember you saying, yeah. And yeah, I remember you saying you got that for a really good price, because I remember years and years ago, I think it was when the Magic Collect stuff started, someone had the Demon Head Vigo prototype, which they never made as a figure. But obviously they had a prototype version. I do remember that being on eBay, but I think that was 4 figures from what I remember. Which I guess makes sense since they never actually made it. So I guess there's going to be a lot of desire for that one. I don't know if you know Jeff Schreck. You may have met him in New York. If you don't know who I'm talking about, look up his page. He has an amazing collection of prototypes and like really unusual stuff. Definitely a page to look out for. Do you have the AMT model Ecto 1A? I do have a model kit of the Ecto 1A. And I can't remember if it was my AMT or not, to be honest, off the top of my head. It's buried away somewhere. Because I know there was 2 versions, or at least 2 boxes. I don't know if they were exactly the same kit, just in different boxes. But there was one, it was like a black box, the Ecto 1A on. And I think mine was more in a green box, the one I have. I can't remember if it was AMT or not. Do you have any custom painted figures? Recently, there's some on eBay that were the Kenner Classics painted in GB2 colors. Looked very cool. I don't myself. I've made some mini puffs myself, like customized quite a lot of mini puffs, different ways, but none that I've actually bought. Unless you count, I guess they're not really custom painted figures, but Capel Toys. I'm sure it's Capel. I might be getting the name wrong now. They've done some. They've done quite a few things now, but I think their website's been down for a while. But they've done a slime bathtub and a Gozer. I've got of theirs, but no actual. But I do know the figures. I do know the figures you're talking about. I have seen pictures of those, and they look very cool. Very cool. But I don't have any. But I'd actually like to do that at one point. I do keep thinking about getting some more real Ghostbusters figures and just painting up. I think it's a cool idea. Also have the giant Slimer plush prototype. Got it from comic. Oh yes, I think I remember you saying about that as well. Yeah, that was really that sounds really cool. Really cool. Sorry, I think I've jumped ahead a couple of questions. Do you have the 2 Hot Wheels ones? Is that yes? If you're talking about the 1A, I do. I have the 118 scale and the 143. In fact, I've got the 143 scale right here, right within reach. That was. So I'm using my laptop camera, so it's not incredibly clear. But yeah, I love the Ecto 1A, and I've got the Ecto 1 of both versions. Although I dropped the 118. Devastated. I was boxing some stuff up and dropped it, so I'm on the lookout for a cheaper one now. Yeah, idiot is all I can say. I'm an idiot. All right, hold on. Right, so let me see where I am. The green one is the okay. Right, cool. Yeah. So I'll do have the AMT then. Trying to think. I'll get confused now. It gets so difficult to keep up sometimes. Always wanted the 143 scale 1A. I have the 84 version. Hopefully it comes up cheap enough for you. I've noticed occasionally on eBay that some of these do turn up fairly cheap from China, but I don't know if they're just one genuine or knockoff. So it's hard to say to you, get them in hand, isn't it? What would you say your most expensive item you have? Ooh. Probably the Blitzway Ecto 1, maybe. I mean, I'm trying to think now, because that's got to be I mean, they were selling for. I mean, I got it wholesale, so I was lucky. But I think they were retail on them was about $2,000. I think maybe 2.5. I'm not sure because I know the Afterlife version ended up being a lot more. It's probably the most official item I would say is probably. Yeah, that's probably the most expensive. It's hard to put a price on a couple of things like the old Christmas cracker box. I've probably droned on about enough in videos, but I've literally never found another one. It's like, how can you put a price on that? Like, could go for, I don't know if I put it. I'd never sell it, but there's part of me would be curious to just stick it on eBay starting 99p and see what it ended up at. You know, it could end up at a tenner, it could end up at £1,000, £2,000. I've no idea, because some stuff tends to go just so crazy. All you need is two people with the right amount of money. But like, because that's so unique, I couldn't put a price on it. I mean, to me, if I had to get rid of the Cracker Box or the Blitzway Ecto-1, it would be the Blitzway Ecto-1, because you know you'd have to pay a lot, but I could get another one of them where I could never get the Cracker Box, if that makes sense. I finished my roller coaster. Excellent, good to hear. Yeah, 2K, but 2K, but they go for 5K. Jesus, didn't know they went for that sort of money now. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's a cool car. It is. I mean, mine's boxed up. The downside to it is, if you're ever thinking of buying one, is it yellowed, which I was so gutted when I noticed that. Mine was nowhere near sunlight or anything. And I think the thing that annoys me the most about some of these things that yellow, and you'll notice it on some old figures where the body really yellows and the arms are pristine white, or vice versa. A bit like the old Matty Collector Stay Puff. The arms and legs went really yellow on that, but the body, I mean, I ended up painting the arms and legs, but the body and head were never painted, and they're still as white as the day it arrived. And with the Blitzway Ecto-1, the main body has yellowed, but the doors and the bonnets haven't. And if they'd all yellowed consistently, it's not like yellow where it's like bright yellow, but it's yellowed enough that you notice it, because the rest of it's not yellowed. So eventually, when I get that out, when I've got more room, I'm probably going to put that retro bright stuff on it just to try that. And it's a shame, because I guess with the Afterlife version, it may not have noticed so much, because obviously the rust and all that and the worn look might have been better. But I don't know if I'd ever get the Afterlife version unless it came up at a really good price. But just storing the thing, I mean, I remember like the box, it was like, you know, on its side, it was like a small fridge. It's ridiculous. I still love it. I've always wanted one, but I don't think I'll ever get one, because it's way too expensive for a product. It is a very cool car, but just, yeah, it is too expensive. That's the problem with some stuff like that. It just gets ridiculous expensive. And even the figures to go with it now go for stupid money, apparently. Yeah, it's a shame that some of this stuff isn't made more accessible, but I guess what probably pushes the price up on the older, these massive cars, is just the shipping. Shipping them from country to country must be so expensive. I mean, I remember talking to someone a couple of years ago now with a toy shop, and they were saying how that they weren't even going to bother getting products like that, because, you know, you've got this massive thing that, you know, would sell for £2,000 or whatever it would have been back in the time, but in the same shelf space they can get so many of these Hot Toys figures that, you know, will go for £200-300 each, and in that same space they can get, you know, 6, 7, 8 grand's worth of stuff in the same space that this one big car is taking up. And obviously, you know, they're more likely to sell these different figures because they're from different franchises, and, you know, got more of them, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a shame. It's going to be interesting to see if this HasLab is an Ecto-1. I mean, going by all the teasers, it's got to be an Ecto-1, surely. And I would expect it to be in scale with the Plasma Series figures. It'd be interesting to see what that ends up costing. I mean, I did a video on that, and I'm estimating about £500, but I'm hoping I'm wrong and it's cheaper. Always wanted the figures as well. I did get the 12-inch Mattel Ghostbusters, as I think. Yeah, they were really good figures, especially for the time they come out. And they were the first 12-inch figures of the Ghostbusters we got. And, you know, I still think they look great. I mean, I think people unfairly compared them to Blitzway, because I remember people comparing the two and saying, well, this Blitzway looks good and these Mattel figures look crap. It's like you're comparing a £200 figure to a $40 figure, I think they were when they come out. It's not comparable. For the money they were at retail, I think those Mattel figures are great, and the details on them were really good as well. I really thought they did a good job of them. I'm hoping for the Ecto one, as I'd love to go with my Hasbro figures, but I still want the Frozen Empire Plasma series and a slime figure. Yeah, totally agree. I seriously hope that they do. I don't know. I don't think they're going to do Frozen Empire Plasma series figures now. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I feel like if they were going to, it would have been along with the film. But Slimer figure, I really think that's got to be a stretch goal with this Ecto one, surely. It just seems ridiculous they've never done it. I mean, yeah, I would like Frozen Empire figures. It seems crazy that we haven't got an official Paul Rudd Ghostbusters figure because, he's such a big star. It just seems like a no-brainer to me. But maybe that would be a stretch goal. Who knows? But I just don't think we're going to get figures for it now. I think the time has passed, but I really hope I'm wrong. But talking of figures as well, I find it funny they never done Blitzway Afterlife figures, considering they've done the car. It surprised me they never did figures to go over. You think they would have at least done Phoebe just to sit on the gunner seat, even if they didn't do any of the others. But Phoebe, just for the gunner seat, would have made sense. Maybe Trevor for driving it. But, yeah, I don't get why they didn't do that. But it's a shame. But, yeah, really hoping this is I say I hope. I don't know where to put it. But I really hope it is an Ecto one. And, yeah, stretch goals. Got to be Slimer. Got to be Slimer. I just think any figure line without Slimer just seems really stupid. But maybe it's just me that thinks that. But can't think of much more to say really about the old collecting. I think more recent purchases got quite a few of the Fright Rags t-shirts. I've always loved Fright Rags. I did a video on that yesterday when they arrived, and also got their cups. There's a video coming on that as well. Which should be in the next couple of days. Like I said, my camera broke, but luckily I've filmed quite a few videos, so I've got stuff scheduled. If they do a Slimer as a stretch goal, it should be an exclusive version, and they need to release him like a normal figure as well for people who can't afford to back the car. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. They should. I mean, I still think they should have done. Oh, sorry. I still think they should have done Phoebe as a regular figure and not in the 2-pack, because she was basically the main character of Afterlife, and yet she wasn't in the main figure line, which don't know, seemed a bit weird to me. But yeah, they could have packed Slimer in with something. I just don't get how they didn't do Slimer really, or Muncher really, considering he was the Slimer of that film. That never really made sense to me. But yeah, I think Slimer's got to be a stretch goal, and I agree they should release him as a separate figure. They really should. Really should. Yeah, really should do a normal Phoebe as the 2-pack with her and Egon is expensive now online. Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? Like, because that was a convention thing, it pushes the price up. And obviously, not everyone. I mean, obviously, us collectors know about the conventions and all that, but I think to like the average kid who's getting into Ghostbusters, I speak to a lot of parents because I'm an entertainer. I do a lot of kids' parties. I speak to a lot of parents who, say they struggle to find Ghostbuster stuff for their kids. And obviously a lot of that stuff is way out of reach for little kids. And, when you've got this 2-figure pack and it ends up being £100 online, they don't want to spend that sort of money for, their little kid to bash these figures about with. I just think it's, I don't know. I don't seem to cater a lot for kids. Like, I think, when you look at what they did for Afterlife and Frozen Empire, not that we had much Frozen Empire out over here, they did. You got 4 Fright Features figures. They did do some Fright Features of Slimer, Muncher, and Stay Puft. In fact, I've got some of them hanging right there. So there's one, the Stay Puffs. And then they did do an Ecto one for it. But then, I don't know, I feel like they should have pushed the line further. Like, they should have been a playset for that line. They kind of just done it and they kind of abandoned it. And I didn't think it was much to keep kids invested in it. Like, I was talking about the Kenner line earlier. And, you were getting figures all the time for that, and vehicles and different ghosts and all that. And, I guess it depends on if Sony allow them to do ghosts that weren't in the film now. But they've got so many ghosts to, to pull from. But they could have done a Firehouse playset, and there's so much more they could have done with it. And then again, when you look at the weapon stuff they did for Afterlife, they did a blue pack and a blaster and stuff. They can't tell me that they couldn't have done a fairly decent but cheap child-sized proton pack with electronics, and it wouldn't have sold. It would have absolutely flew off the shelves. Don't know. It's turned into a rant video. Sorry. Where are we? Luckily, I've got the whole set for Afterlife Hasbro figures, but them not doing a ghost is so stupid, as Mattel had a ton of them as packing ghosts. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know why they couldn't have done a small little ghost to go in with those figures. It's Ghostbusters. If there's no ghosts, they're not Ghostbusters if there's no Ghost to bust. David Rowe. Hello, David. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, I actually got the Hasbro Fright Features figures a year before they released, as I pre-ordered them from the US website, and then way earlier than that. Oh, yes, I remember that, yes, because, yeah, for anyone who don't remember, so the Fright Features figures for Afterlife, obviously Afterlife was supposed to come out about a year earlier, supposed to come out in 2020, but then obviously we had the whole COVID thing, which kind of threw stuff back, so Afterlife was pushed back a year. And because if you know the scene in the temple where they're looking at the dates and it says 2021, that's actually CGI'd, and the original scene has it saying 2020, and of course they were supposed to release the Fright Features figures then, but they pushed them back, so they obviously sat in a warehouse for ages, but some did get released because they wanted to release them alongside the film, because they obviously stuff sells better when it's released alongside the film. And it's funny because a completely different film, but the last Wonder Woman that come out, I remember seeing, and I think that was probably pushed back because of COVID, but I remember seeing figures of that from well over a year before the film came out. Now, I'm not a massive DC guy. Batman's probably my favourite superhero, but I don't follow the universe much. But I remember when I saw like this poster for Wonder Woman, I was like, surely that came out a year ago. What on earth? But yeah, but I remember because those figures as well were going for insane money on eBay. And then, of course, when they did come out eventually, the price sort of leveled off. Yeah. Want to know my Roblox name so you can friend me? Yes, let me know the name. Also, remind me the name because once I've finished this video, I'm going to make dinner and stuff. So I probably won't get round to it tonight, if I'm honest. But definitely remind me tell me now, but also remind me your name in the future, because I don't know if you remember on my last live stream, you had said, "Can you watch my video?" And then once I closed the live stream, the chat vanished and I couldn't retrieve it, and I couldn't remember your name. And so I'm thinking I'll put a thing up somewhere saying, and then you did see that and send me the link. But yes, but I'll definitely look at that and see if I can get Roblox. But yeah, so anyone in the chat, let me know any new stuff. Got any new Ghostbuster stuff? I know David bought a very nice patch recently, didn't you, David? So just. Why don't I plug this just in case anyone wants one? For anyone who doesn't know, I do cosplay as Vigo, and I make these Vigo patches. So they're £10 each, plus postage. So been doing them £11 to the UK, £13 international. So we're selling quite a few of those at Comic Con. And I do also have not many of these left. Just grab them. Some of these, a couple of these Firehouse patches. So a lot of people have asked me lately for this one. That's my only one of these left. That's for myself to go on something. But this is mixed with the crew logo from Frozen Empire, which went under the codename Firehouse. And because I worked on that as an extra, I sort of mixed my logo with the crew logo. So I think I've got 4 of those left. And once they're gone, I'm not going to make any more of these. Once the Vigo patches have gone down a bit, my next patch is probably going to be, which is an old patch, this one. I only ever made 10 of these. This is from an older patch maker, whereas the new patch maker I've got now is much better quality. Not that these are bad, but certainly, but I just feel like these are better. So I'm going to that's going to be my next one. And then I'll probably get more of these done after that. But yeah, a couple of people have asked me for those lately. But do love a good patch. Well worth the money. Very kind of you to say, David. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just reading back. I'm surprised Lego didn't do Frozen Empire sets. Yeah, I actually remember before Afterlife come out, there was this so-called leak, which obviously turned out to be a load of rubbish, about Afterlife Lego sets. And I remember one of them was going to be the farmhouse. And I also remember there was this story going around that the ending of Afterlife was going to be something to do with Gozer pulling them back into New York, and then they were going to defeat her there, and the firehouse was going to basically be leveled to rubble. And I do remember a leak again for a Lego set being some sort of final battle at the firehouse. But again, obviously, none of that turned out to be true. But one thing I always thought about Lego as well is like with Ghostbusters. Obviously, they did the firehouse, and I think that was about £300 when that came out. I vaguely remember I was actually in line to get that the morning it came out. I'm sure it was about 300 if I remember right. And they did the Ecto one. And at one point in time, I had the two Simpsons sets. They did the Simpsons house and the Quickie Mart. I ended up selling them just for space, but very good sets. And I think they were a couple of £100 each, if I remember right. No idea what they're worth now. But I always thought they should have done smaller sets for these things. Like, not every set has to be a £200 highly detailed thing. Because again, like, you know, some of this stuff has to be aimed towards kids. It's not just us collectors that are getting this stuff. Like, and I think The Simpsons was a good example of that, where they could have made like the comic book store counter. They could have made the classroom, and again, not detailed ones, maybe £30 sets. And they could have easily done that for Ghostbusters. And they could have done just maybe a little section of the ballroom catching Slimer. They could have done a small section of Gozer's Temple. Maybe a little bit of the courtroom. Definitely potential there. Yeah. Right. Oh, where are we? Surprise Lego. Well worth the money. Are you going to the Cross the Streams event in Birmingham this December? Very unlikely, if I'm honest. Just because it's the weekend and it's the run up to Christmas. Being a professional magician, it's very likely I'm going to be working. I don't think I'm booked for anything on the day yet, but it's very likely I'm going to be working. So if I'm not working, I will be going, but so it's very unlikely. Will you be going yourself? Yeah, I remember that leak. Yep. Hi, Ghostbusters Collector. I did answer your question very earlier on that you asked me. I have all the Lego sets that they've released. The Frozen M. Sorry, God, brain's going. The Firehouse is brilliant. Always wanted to do an Exo 1A. Yeah, the Firehouse Lego set I think is one of the best Ghostbusters toys ever made. Like, if I could send one modern Ghostbusters toy back to me as a kid, that would be it. I think it's such a brilliant set. I almost wish like I bought two so you could display one open and one closed, because it's just such a good set. You'll be going. The last one was fantastic. That's good to hear. If I do go, I would probably go as Vigo. Is probably what I would go as, just to be different, to stand out, and I can just taunt all the other Ghostbusters. But yeah, I heard the last one was fantastic. I think some of my friends are planning on going. I'm still 50-50 about the Wales Comic Con, which I think it might be like the 12th, 13th of August, which isn't that long away. It's scary, isn't it, how quick this year's gone? But because they've got Kurt Fuller, obviously from Ghostbusters 2, played Hardmire. He's going to be there, so we're half thinking of going to that. So might be one. Are you going to watch the Ghostbusters live performance at the Royal Albert Hall? Yes, I will be there. We have tickets, so definitely be there for that. Are you going yourself? I'm still, because we're half thinking, do we go in flight suits or do we dress smart again? Because we had that dilemma for the Frozen Empire premiere. We ended up going smart, and I wore like a hazard strap tie and a mini puffed on my shoulder. But yeah, looking forward to that. I've never actually watched a film with a live orchestra before, so that should be interesting. Alejandro, can I ask you something? Yes, ask anything you want. I'd love to see your Vigo cosplay in person. It looks great. Thank you very much. It's kind of you to say. Had a lot of fun making it. My original intention was to make it a real leather, and maybe I still will do that one day, but so stressful. I'm not really an expert sewing or doing any of that stuff, but so kind of making the Vigo costume as I went along. But very happy how it came out, and it does get a lot of attention at conventions. I don't know if you've ever seen a video of our Vigo painting prank, which is always good fun. Ghostbusters Collector, yes. Oh, excellent. Well, hopefully I'll see you there. That'd be good to meet you in person. Magic Ghostbusters, can I ask you? Yes, please go ask away. Saw Back to the Future live at the Royal Rumble a few years ago. It was great. That's excellent to hear. Really excited about it. Like I said, I've never seen one with a live orchestra, so it's going to be very cool. Very cool. I actually saw come up earlier, which I need to look more into, about I think they've got the son of the original conductor doing a talk at something before, so need to look into that. And also talking of music, Randy Elderman, I can never pronounce his name, Elderman, who did the score for Ghostbusters 2, has done a few things in London the last couple of like last year. And I've every time it's come up, I've been busy on a date, which is really gutting because I'd like to go to that as well and hopefully get the Ghostbusters 2 CD signed. But I don't know if he's going to do any again. Funny enough, I was looking at that earlier. There's a paid trip, but no dates. So hoping that comes up. But yeah, really looking forward to the Albert Hall. Are you going to dress up as a Ghostbuster for the Albert Hall or something smart? Be cool to know. Still haven't decided myself. Be curious to see if they have anything else on, like Ecto 1 outside or something could be cool, but we'll have to see what's going on. I'm just going to check, make sure I Alejandro, are you subscribed? Do you mean to your channel? Yeah, I'm sure I'm subscribed to your channel. Yeah, I'm sure I'm subscribed, if that's what you mean. Saw Michael Bernstein at the Royal Hall back in 2017 conducting his father's music, but he didn't do Ghostbusters. Oh, okay. Surprised he didn't do Ghostbusters. I would have thought, but I bet that was cool to see. I do love a live music. I mean, I'm more of a classic rock, heavy metal person. You can't beat seeing a band live, I don't think. It's just a shame that sort of things become so expensive nowadays. Like AC/DC recently doing a show in London. Last time I saw them, it was £75, and I think this was 150. It's just like, oh, it's just so expensive. So expensive. It's a shame. It's a real shame. I won't forget to remind your name so you can see the coaster. Yes, absolutely. Super Mario Bros. 3, hello. Well, I recently scored the real Ghostbusters cassette from 1986 in near mint condition. Do you have that in your collection? It's mega rare. I do have some real Ghostbusters cassettes somewhere. I definitely have real Ghostbusters cassettes. I couldn't tell you which ones they are to save my life, if I'm completely honest. I'd have to dig them out. I don't even know where they are, but yeah, I definitely have some. Ghostbusters guy, hi, hello, Ghostbusters guy. Hope you're well. I'm trying to think now where these real Ghostbusters cassettes would be. I'm sure I've got a couple of different ones somewhere. Again, it's just because everything's become so much now. There's stuff behind stuff, and certainly because I think on my last live stream, someone asked me about Ghostbusters jigsaw puzzles, and I know I've got several Ghostbusters jigsaw puzzles, but again, I just can't remember what's on them. As I get older, my memory gets worse and worse and worse. Hey, fun of getting old, isn't it? But for anyone who went to Ghostbusters Day, obviously about a month ago now, are you thinking of going back? So me and my friends have been discussing, do we go back next year? Very much going to depend on money, I think, but we're tempted. So, see, next year will not be as good, as big, as big as the previous year, or this year, because it was the 40th. But definitely think again. I'll definitely go back for the big ones, 45th, 50th. But we are tempted with the 41st. Real Ghostbusters cassette, music cassette. Yeah, they are super rare. They are very hard to find, those sort of things. Do you have the Extreme Ghostbusters car? Yes, I'm sure I've got the Extreme Ghostbusters car somewhere. I've got. I think the only stuff Extreme Ghostbusters I don't have the deluxe figures. They've done 4 deluxe figures. I've got the 8 normal figures. I've got the bike. I don't think I have the copter, or is it the other way round? I can't remember. Can't remember now. And I don't have the role play stuff for Extreme Ghostbusters. I never really paid a lot of attention to Extreme Ghostbusters back in the day. I never really gave it a fair chance, I don't think, and I think a lot of people didn't give it a fair chance. And I guess that's because I guess people of the age watched the real Ghostbusters were probably slightly growing out of that sort of stuff. And we wanted our original characters. We didn't want these new imposters, which I guess that kind of that attitude. But you look back at it, it's actually a great series. But it's one of those things. I do collect it, but normally when stuff comes, every time something's come up for it that I've kind of half wanted, and this is something super rare. Generally, if there's something else, will normally take priority, if that makes sense. Re-release of the 1986 soundtrack. Yeah, that makes total sense for the 40th anniversary. Yes, planning to go back next. Oh God, I can't talk. Yes, planning to go back next year. Had a blast. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Like the Ghostbusters Day at the Firehouse just went way beyond my expectations, what I expected, because I think I wasn't really sure what to expect when we got there, or leading up to it. I was thinking, I'll probably get here, hang around for an hour, and then that'll be it. There won't be much to do. But it was like complete opposite. Like just talking to so many people, and like it was just like the best party for a Ghostbusters fan. If you didn't go, I do highly recommend going when you can. Like I said, I don't think next year would be as big as this year, because this year was the 40th. Going to be a lot more interest for 40th than the 41st, I suppose. But I still imagine it would still be an awesome event. I once asked my little brother what Ghostbusters is, and he said he didn't know, and I feel old. I think you need to educate your little brother. Is all I'm going to say to that. Ghostbusters Collector. What do you do for a living? How do you afford all these items? Good question. I'm a professional magician, so that is what I do for a living. I do a lot of weddings, birthdays. So I know, obviously, I'm the Magic Ghostbuster. I do magic on YouTube, but probably not enough magic on YouTube, to be fair. But it is actually my job. So yeah, normally I'm in a more of a steampunky suit is what I normally wear for a lot of my jobs. If it's more kids orientated, I will wear either like a Pac-Man suit. By that, I mean a suit covered in the Pac-Man maze, a bit like this thing behind me. Not an actual Pac-Man costume. So I do a lot of weddings, birthday parties. I do kids parties. Do shows at holiday parks, all sorts of places. So that's my main job. I have a sideline job working in the film industry as a supporting artist, and I do a little bit of acting as well on the side. So supporting artist stuff is basically background things. So I've done Star Wars. I did Ghostbusters recently. That's all done through an agency. Always great fun. I say it's always great fun. Depends what production you get on. Sometimes it can be very tedious. A lot of sitting around. Also like to do a little bit of buying and selling occasionally. Just don't do that a lot anymore. I used to do that quite a lot when I was younger on eBay. I still do that occasionally if I come across a real good bargain, but it's not often I do that now. Just occasionally. But yeah, that's my job, and it pays well. But I mean, the difference between, I guess, because a show, you can get several £100s for a show, but obviously it's not something you're doing every day. So, but also don't have kids or anything that I have to really spend money on. So I get quite lucky as well. With stuff like that. Sorry, I think I've completely lost track of where I was. So Ghostbusters fan 64513. Yes, I love Extreme Ghostbusters and the XO1 in the box, Proton Pack, and some of the figures and the Ghost Trap. Excellent. That's so I need to catch you up in the Extreme Ghostbusters department because I do need some of that. Paul C. Thoughts on any Ghostbusters fan made films? Any favourites if you've seen any? I'll be honest, I haven't really avoided them purposely. I just never really got round to watching them. Yes, I can't really comment on that. I think my favourite ever fan made film was a Star Wars one called Troops, which was based on like an old American show. I think it was called Cops, which was just following stormtroopers around. That's a really old film now. I've seen clips and stuff of fan made films, and I think it's fantastic that people put the effort in. Funny enough, I'm actually working on a fan made film for me and my group now. It's something in the pipeline. I think the thing that I don't like a lot about fan made films is when people just keep quoting the original film, and I think make it its own thing. Your Ghostbusters, you don't need to quote all these things from the original film, if that makes sense. And it's only a little minor thing like I don't really like about fan made films generally, but yeah, but I mean, I think whether it's really high budget or whether it's really low budget and poorly made, is still cool that people put in that effort to make these things. So I think it's really cool. I put all the deleted scenes in Ghostbusters Frozen M. Oh, excellent. How did that come out? Southend-on-Sea Ghostbusters. Who are those weirdos? I hope you're all following Southend-on-Sea Ghostbusters on social media. I think we're all going to be back next year, mate. I hope so. I bloody hope so. Where are we? Alejandro, I did, and he said I didn't know. Oh, I mean, if that was my little brother, not allowed to do that anymore, but that's what I'd do. Luckily he sees sense. I'm trying to get it because my younger brothers had kids, so I'm trying to get my nephews into Ghostbusters. So yeah, slowly working away at it. Super Mario Brothers 3, Ghostbusters Collector. Oh, okay, you're talking to him, but let's read it out. Also have the custom Extreme Ghostbusters, including Garrett and the wheelchair. Oh, wait, that sounds cool. Alejandro, I feel old after that. Tell me about it. I feel massively old. Luckily, I'm not the oldest one in my group. Ghostbusters Collector, that's great, Darren. Well done. It's great that you're doing. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. What's the old saying? If you do what you love, you never work a day in your life, or something like that. Yeah, I can't complain. Certainly. Do you think Ghostbusters Frozen Empire will get a sequel? I think it will. Personally, I know it didn't do massive numbers at the box office, but it seems to be doing well on home media. It's coming to Netflix soon. Something I was thinking about actually coming to Netflix so soon. I remember the days when we had to wait so long for films to come out on TV and videotape and all that. I think sometimes they squeeze it all in into too smaller package, if that makes sense. And I don't know. I feel like if they spread these out more, they'd make more money. Because I think nowadays, for a lot of films now, unless it's like something you really, really want to see to avoid spoilers or something, most films are going to be out on some sort of streaming service in a couple of months. Like especially Disney films. It seems like they're almost cutting down on the box office money and then the DVD money by I don't know. See, I don't know the financials, but it just seems like they're throwing a lot of money away releasing these things so soon. But yeah, I think I think it'll get a sequel. I could be wrong, but obviously they've got a Netflix show as well, so I guess it could all come down to how that does as well. I know nothing about this Netflix show, other than it's going to be animated. But I mean, if it does well, there's definitely potential for it to get a sequel. Yeah, hopefully. Just to see what happens, I guess. Because I mean, I guess they want it to be a franchise that's going to make money, and I mean, I'm sure it made a profit. I'm sure these things all make a profit in some way once they start selling them to all these different things. It actually reminds me of something I was thinking of quite a lot recently, because obviously in the Ghostbusters Facebook groups, a lot of people are talking about the box office money it was making. And I sometimes think people focus so much on the box office from any film, really, I guess. And if you look up the highest grossing film of all time, top of the list will be Avatar, and it will have its box office number. And I think second was Avengers Endgame, and then I think third might have been the second Avatar, which I find weird that it got so high when I never really met anyone who even talked about it. But they never add in all the other money that these films pull in, because obviously, you know, you've got the box office it makes in the cinema, but then you've got all the money it makes from, you know, whether it's VHS back in the day, DVD, Blu-ray, you know, download, when you'd buy a film to download, and then selling it off to streaming services, TV, and all that sort of stuff. And I was actually thinking, like, if you took all that into consideration, would Avatar be the top one? I don't think it would be. I think it would probably be something like Star Wars, because obviously those have gone through all the different medias. And I think one of the good things from a business point of view for films is they basically sell us the same thing over and over. You know, like you take an old film like Ghostbusters, people have been around since the sort of era it come out of, you know, bought a cinema ticket. They bought it in VHS. They bought it on DVD. They bought it on Blu-ray and all these other things. They've basically paid over and over for the same thing. Then you get weirdos like me who buy it again and again and again in different box sets and different covers and all that sort of stuff. So I think when you take all that into consideration, surely the biggest money-making film of all time, it's got to be a Star Wars film, I would have thought. But I know it could be wrong, but I just think we don't take all these other avenues into consideration. But anyway, sorry, waffling on like I do all the time. Where are we? Would you get a real Ecto 1 to drive? If I could afford one and had somewhere to park it, I'd absolutely get an Ecto 1 to drive. So obviously group South Sea Ghostbusters, well, one of our guys, Carl, does have a real Ecto 1, and we've gone around London in that several times. And I mean, it's going around in that car in London is absolutely amazing. I don't know if I'd like to drive one because it's so long. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I would like to drive one personally, like around a field or something, or a quiet road would be cool. But I wouldn't like to drive one around a busy thing because it's so long. But the advantage of that is everyone just lets you cut in because they want to see the car in front of them. They want to get their phone out and record it and stuff. But yeah, that is really fun. And yeah, if I ever had the money and the space, because I mean, they're two things you have to consider. I would absolutely love one. I'm sure any fan would, really, if they had the money and the space. And I mean, obviously, they're old cars as well. So, I mean, I think if I had one, I'd want to learn about cars. I'm not the most technical when it comes to cars. But if I had a real Ecto 1, I'd definitely learn all that sort of stuff, engines and things. Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure every single person in the chat would have an Ecto 1 if they had the chance. I think you'll get a sequel 2 with reduced cast and budget. Yes, yeah, it could be right. Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what originals come back as well. I definitely think you'd get Dan and Ernie involved. Bill's always 50-50, isn't he? Yeah. And I guess the money actor out of the new films is probably Paul Rudd. I guess he's probably the biggest earning actor. Actually, do you know, it's funny, we were watching it the other day again, and in the credits, well, I can see McKenna Grace, Phoebe, is the main actor character now, and she was in Afterlife, she was in Frozen Empire, at least in my opinion. And yet in the credits, I think she was like 4th or 5th in the credits, and it was like, and I guess that's just because of the whole, you know, these actors are bigger, so they get ranked higher. I guess it's a funny old thing, isn't it? How it all works. I honestly want them to wait a few years to do another Ghostbusters movies. I'd like to see Phoebe, Trevor, and the other kids aged up. Yes, that'd be cool. Definitely. But then these kids age so quick. I think if they did it in a couple of years, I think they'd probably look aged up, to be fair. I mean, podcast. I mean, like it's almost a shock. Like we watched Afterlife the other day. It's almost a shock. Like after seeing Frozen Empire, how much he's changed. It's almost like if someone said that was a different actor, you'd believe it because of how quick he's changed. And it's like when you go back and watch Stranger Things just between each season, it's like almost a shock how quick they've changed. So I don't think they have to wait long to make them look aged up. In all honesty, I know McKenna just turned 18. I'm not sure how old Trevor Finn Wolfhard is now. But it's like Cobra Kai. I love Cobra Kai. A new series starting next week. And I think most of that, I mean, considering they're all, there's all the characters are, still in school. They're all supposed to be like sort of 17, 18, because obviously the main tournament is the under 18 Valley thing. And yeah, I think most of those actors are like sort of in their mid to late 20s now, like sort of 27, 28. So I'm trying to catch up again. You're getting a real Ecto one. Very cool. I'm very jealous of anyone who has a real Ecto one. It will definitely make a profit of all the things considered, but ideally it should have made a profit from its box office alone. Yes, should have done. I think it's one of those things. I think another thing people forget. Obviously, it went past its production budget. It definitely made money over that, but it's all the advertising that a lot of people never consider. And I know that's one of the things that if we go back to the 2016 film. It was the advertising budget as well on top of the production budget that really, knocked that down in terms of money making, because it isn't cheap to put signs on the side of buses and billboards in subway stations and all that. It's a lot of money that gets spent on that side of things. Almost doubles the production budget half the time. All that side of things. Making the Ecto 1A version. Excellent. There was supposed to be an Ecto 1A at the Firehouse, but they couldn't get it done in time. But I'd love to see that. The Ecto 1A doesn't get enough love. Funny enough, Cole, who we were talking about earlier, who's a member of Southend group, has turned his into the Firehouse. So I keep calling it Firehouse. Frozen Empire. It's because he worked on Frozen Empire and its code name was Firehouse. Still call it Firehouse, but he's done his the Frozen Empire version. And it's funny with the old Frozen Empire version. When I first saw those red stripes going down the bonnet, I hated it. Really hated it. I thought, oh, it looks horrible. But it's really grown on me now, and I really like it. I think it really finishes it off. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me or if you think I'm talking rubbish, but I really like it now. And it's almost like seeing it without the stripes. Like when you see it in person on the actual car, I think is when it really looks great. Ghostbusters. Have you ever attempted any Ghostbusters fan fiction? Kind of. We're kind of working on a Southend-on-Sea Ghostbusters versus Vigo fan film at the moment. There's kind of an idea in the pipeline. So kind of not before, but kind of attempting it now, if that makes sense. And obviously Vigo's going to destroy the Ghostbusters because I'm Vigo. I'm also editing it, so that's what's going to happen. Spoiler. Also, if they do another Ghostbusters movie, will it be the last one, as they can't make infinite movies? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's all down to money. I mean, they could technically make infinite movies. They just couldn't obviously have the original guys involved. I mean, I think if they do another one, they eventually they've got to move on from the original Ghostbusters. As sad as that'd be, they've got to, because obviously eventually, these Ghostbusters, they're either going to get too old or they're going to pass on. They won't be able to be involved. Obviously, like Harold Ramis did. I think Ernie Hudson will be involved for a couple more films if they do it, and he doesn't have to do a lot. I mean, obviously he's the money man, he's the boss, so they could even just refer to him. He doesn't necessarily have to be in it. Dan Aykroyd, I think, will be involved until he can't be involved. Bill's obviously the one that's probably, again, you just never know, Bill, do you? But yeah, it's hard to say, really, isn't it? I mean, I think as long as they're making money, they'll carry on. I mean, it's one of those things. I think eventually, if they make too many, and I guess we saw this with the Marvel stuff and Star Wars nowadays, I think if you're making too many things too frequently, that's when people start to get a bit bored of it. And I guess there's only so many ways they can bust ghosts. So I guess it depends really if they can come up with more stories and that sort of thing. Yeah, hard to say. I'll make videos once the car is finished. Excellent. I'll look forward to seeing those. I think Ghostbusters 2, Frozen Empire, and Afterlife are great for kids. Absolutely, they are. Absolutely. Although, do you know, it's funny because Ghostbusters 2 is obviously considered toned down, obviously, for, because of the success of the real Ghostbusters to more kids. Because really, the original film wasn't a kid's film. Wasn't originally intended for kids, but in Ghostbusters 2, obviously, like I said, that he's been toned down. But there's some really dark stuff in that, like that bit in the subway station where they turn around and suddenly there's all these heads on sticks. It's actually quite a dark scene when you think about it. Where are we? Yeah, I didn't like the stripes originally when the pictures first came out, but now I really like them. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how these things, you don't like them originally, but I think it was when I actually saw it on Cole's car, like in real life. It was like, I think that was when it really hit me that I really liked it. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I wonder if part of it is not necessarily wasn't liking the stripes, but just not liking the fact that they've tainted our beloved Ecto-1. Maybe could have been more to do it, but I suppose they've got to make these changes as well because they want to re-release the toy car and make a change so people buy it, I guess. But where are I can see the studio making an animated film with the original characters set in the past. Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to know what this new animated series is going to be about. I don't know if it's going to follow the current lot, the old lot. It might just be a animated show about the mini puffs causing mischief. Who knows? But I always thought that they should. I mean, it's not considered canon anymore, but my idea was always that they take the audio from the Ghostbusters video game and make it an animated, whether it's CGI animation or, cartoon animation, and make an actual film of that. I always thought would have been good. And because you could have used obviously all of Harold Ramis's audio, but then they could have had the surviving Ghostbusters add in stuff as well. I would have took the rookie out personally, and just had that as a standalone film. I think would have been cool, but it's not considered canon anymore. I mean, I still consider it canon. To me, it's still Ghostbusters 3 and Afterlife is Ghostbusters 4 is the way I look at it because it was such a good game. But in fact, I need to play that again soon. What is your favourite Proton Pack design? Mine is the Frozen Empire look. I originally hated them before the movie came out, as it's just the original packs, but the Frozen Empire packs grew on me. I must admit, the Frozen Empire packs have not massively grown on me yet. I mean, I guess they've grown on me more than when I first saw them. It's just the yellow bumper still isn't really doing it for me. I quite like the what do you call that bit on the end of the wand? That looks kind of cool. But I think I'm still very much original with the Proton packs in terms of design. I did quite like the shotgun grip on the Neutrona wand in Afterlife. And there was I remember some concept art for an Afterlife one that had a red bumper, and I really liked that as a look. Obviously, it wasn't something they used. But yeah, I think I'm still very much original. I'm not a fan of the yellow bumper. Ghostbusters Collector, I can't stand the mini puffs. I think you're in the minority there. I think people who didn't even like the new films love the mini puffs. I love the mini puffs myself. But I can see why they can be annoying. I love the game. Yeah, you can't beat the game. The bumper is actually your favourite part of the new packs. Fair enough. If you like it, that's cool. Yeah, so it's not grown on me yet, but certainly it doesn't offend me like it did originally. But yeah, I would have made them red personally, but because I love the red look on them. But yeah, but then again, it's cool that they keep changing these little things as well because and I think that's one of the things I like about stuff is when people say, "Oh, you've ruined my childhood," is a phrase I've heard a lot in the Star Wars community, especially back in the prequel era. It's like nothing's ruined your childhood. Like as much of a state as the Star Wars franchise is, you've still got those original 3 films of perfection. You can still watch those and ignore the rest. And it's the same with Ghostbusters. If you didn't like Frozen Empire, you didn't like Afterlife, you didn't like 2, you've still got that original film, and you can watch that and be happy. And I think it's great that we get all these little options as it moves on. So, you know, if you are very much a original pack and that has to stay that way, you can do that. But you've got all these little options to make new changes now to your Proton pack. And I think that's really cool. I think it's cool that we get all these little things. The same with the red jackets. I know people were saying, oh, they weren't in it enough, so there's no point wearing one. Well, the same applies to the grey jumpsuit from GB2. And again, you've got all these cool little options. I've tried on the Magnolia red jacket, really good quality, but I don't think I'd ever wear one because I do tend to overheat even in winter in just a flight suit. I love the story from the video. Yeah, the story from the video game was great. A really good story. And I thought they'd done a really good job of it. There was actually a documentary someone made. I can't remember the name of the YouTuber now. Just done a video on the video game, and that was quite good to watch. So, like I said, can't remember, but check it out because that was really good. But yeah, it was a absolute great game. Loved it. In fact, I'm going to play that again soon. Wish they'd make another game like the OG. Yeah, absolutely. I really wish they would make that. I do play Spirits Unleashed occasionally, but it hasn't grabbed me in quite the same way as that 2009 game, which to me was just perfection. Loved that game. Story, gameplay, everything about it was great. Yeah, I don't think I can say a negative thing about it, really, to be honest. Really liked it. And they definitely should make another game like that. You know, whether it's based on the originals or even the new Ghostbusters, you know, they could make a game. Just take the same sort of template, obviously improve the graphics nowadays, and could just do it with the new Ghostbusters team, busting ghosts. Could easily do that. Would love to see something along those lines. Maybe even like more of an open world Ghostbusters game could be cool. You know, funnily enough, I was thinking about this as well. Spider-Man game. Was a great game, obviously set in New York. And I don't know how this works from licensing, but I was like thinking, could they, because it's owned by Sony, obviously Ghostbusters owned by Sony as well, could they just use the map from that? Or is there some rule that says they can't transfer it over and have to start from scratch? But, you know, take the map from Spider-Man and just drop in a Ghostbusters game. Again, it probably doesn't work like that, but that'd be cool. Yeah, lots of potential. There's lots of potential for the franchise, really, but it's just whether they realize it or not. Hopefully they do, and hopefully this animated thing ends up being really good. They need a game where I can drive the Ecto-1. I don't understand why it's never been in any game yet. Yeah, that is absolutely fair to say. Why has that not happened? It's a shame that didn't happen in the old game either. The 2009. Oh god, yeah. I think the only time we ever got to drive the Ecto-1 was in that really old game that was on. I think it was on the Atari and the Master System. And I mean, driving it is a loose term. You could move it like that as you were going forwards. So there wasn't really a lot you could do. Ghostbusters guy made the arm blaster from Frozen Empire. Very cool. I haven't made one yet. Not sure if I will, but because I have back problems, does very much appeal to me, I'll be honest. So when I saw that as a bit of equipment, I was like, yes, no more back pain. Be interested to see if Hasbro ever make one of them. Because, I mean, obviously the props do really well for them. I mean, they get funded so well. So that might be the next one, if they do another prop. You can drive the Ecto in the DS port. Oh, I did not know that. I never played the DS version. So that's interesting to know. But you need one of the main consoles. Oh, that's interesting. I might have to try and track all that stuff down and figure it out. How about a Ghostbusters simulator where you have to build a business empire from scratch? That could be quite interesting. Definitely something they could work on, I guess. I mean, I guess back in the Atari one, you earned money, and then you got a code at the end, so you could transfer that money to a new game. So And obviously that was a really old game. That was like really basics. There's definitely potential there, I think. Could be cool, like earn money and then take money away for expenses and any property damage and that sort of stuff. Could be very interesting. Planet Coaster. Oh yeah, I remember reading stuff about Planet Coaster, but it's not something I've ever played, so it's not something I know a lot about, if I'm honest. Oh, you can drive the Ecto in that DLC. Oh, okay. I think I've seen people that have modded. Doesn't count because it's a mod; it isn't official. But I'm sure I've seen people mod and add an Ecto One into Grand Theft Auto or one of those types of open world games. Would be very cool. Like I say, I think Spider-Man would be perfect because it's New York. Would be the perfect place to do that. Yeah, that would be very cool. It would be cool to drive the Ecto One. I mean, it's just a cool car, isn't it? Oh yeah, right. So yeah, GTA does have an Ecto One mod. Okay, so it definitely does. Yeah, that'd be very cool. To have something like that. I feel like Ghostbusters needs to have more video games. There's a lot of potential there. I really liked the old Ghostbusters 2 video game that was on the Game Boy. I thought that was quite a good concept for back in the day. You sort of controlled two, or you had one Ghostbuster that followed you, and one did the trap, one did the stream. I thought it was quite good. I used to play that a lot. Has there ever been Ghostbusters Pez Dispenser or Ghostbusters Top Trumps? You've never seen them. There's definitely been Ghostbusters Pez, because I do have them somewhere. But they were like cross between Pez and Funko. So it was the Funko designs. You had the four Ghostbusters, you had Slimer, Stay Puffed, and then I believe there was Walmart exclusives of the sort of orange exploding Stay Puffed and a glow in the dark Slimer, I think. I might be remembering slightly wrong, but yeah, there was them. I do have all those somewhere. Again, not really sure where they are, but yeah. But like I said, it was the Funko face design of the Ghostbusters. It's like they cut the top off a Funko and stuck it on a Pez dispenser, or maybe scaled it down. Top Trumps. I don't think they done Top Trumps. I do remember buying a card game when I was in America, but it wasn't Top Trumps. I can't think what the card game was. But yeah, I don't remember Top Trumps. There was definitely a card. I think it was a similar idea, maybe to Top Trumps. But I can't think of the name of the card game. But yeah, as far as I know, there's never been a Top Trumps one. Yeah, right. So I like that version. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, the Ghostbusters 2 Game Boy. Yeah, that was a very cool, very cool. New Ghostbusters, and there's still my favorite Ghostbusters game. Yeah, that was very cool. There isn't Ghostbusters Top Trumps, but they do have an 80s Top Trumps pack that does have a Ghostbusters card in it. Oh, okay, right, that's cool. I'm trying to think what the name of this game was. I bought it was a card game of Ghostbusters because I remember they did the 2016 Ghostbusters and the classic Ghostbusters. So I guess it must have come out around the 2016 time. Like I said, it wasn't Top Trumps, but I think it was a similar idea. And I do have that game somewhere. In fact, I think I bought two of them because I bought one with the intention of opening it and playing it, and then never got round to it. But I can't think of the name of the game. Live and Adventure. Oh, good evening. Hello. Uno. That's it. Ghostbusters Uno. Thank you. Yes. I'm sure that's the card game I'm thinking of. They did do that. Yeah, and I have those. But yeah, it seems weird that they didn't do Top Trumps now. Think about it. That seems like a no-brainer. Yeah, because I mean, I remember working in a collector's shop. It was one of my first jobs out of college, and we had so many versions of Top Trumps. Yeah, would have made sense to do a Ghostbusters one. New Ghostbusters 2 on NES is still my favourite Ghostbusters game. I think 2009 is my favourite. I had a soft spot for the Master System one. The classic Master System one. I actually did a bit of artwork based on that, where it kind of crossed over with the Pac-Man map, and I had bits going into the Pac-Man map and stuff from the Pac-Man coming out into the Ghostbusters map, which I really liked. I think I'm the only one who liked it, but I liked it. This is all that matters. As much as I don't like 2016, it got a lot of toys out until Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the 2016, but I did buy a few of the bits from it. I think my thing with collecting the 2016 merch was I just didn't buy anything that was very specific to 2016. So I didn't buy the figures of the characters from it. I didn't buy the toys of the Ecto-1. But if it was anything, it was just like a generic Ghostbusters logo, or could really have been from anything. I bought it. I wasn't really a fan of the packaging either that they had around the 2016. Obviously it was mostly green with the stripes. Wasn't a massive fan of that. But I'm not really a massive fan of the packaging they got now. Most of it is very much the khaki flight suit design, and I love the flight suit design. But as a packaging thing, for me, it just looks a bit dull. Like the Hasbro figures and all that. I don't know. It just doesn't really. I don't know. It just looks a bit dull to me. My favourite packaging for figures at Ghostbusters is the Mattel ones. Funnily enough, I think they've done a really good job on that. I think it's a shame they didn't change it for the Ghostbusters 2 ones, because I don't know if you remember the Mattel packaging. It had the 2 Terror Dogs, and I just think the boxes look great. Whereas I feel like for the Ghostbusters 2, they maybe should have had the Scoleri brothers or something instead. But was the card game by Cryptozoic? That's not the one I was thinking of, but yes, they did do a card game as well. Hold on, was it? I might be remembering wrong now, actually. I'm going to have to look that up. I can't actually remember, because there was Ghostbusters the card game, which wasn't the card game I was thinking of. I was thinking of an Uno, it turns out. But there was Ghostbusters the card game, because it had the same artwork on the packaging as the Ghostbusters playing cards, and I can't remember if they were Cryptozoic or not. I don't think they were, but I could be completely wrong. Live an Adventure. I had a Ghostbusters bot bag toy. It was a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Never heard of it since. Anyone else know anything about it? I do know about it. It's very, very rare. Very rare. I don't have one. My friend Chris, who was after one for years, one come up on eBay, and he was so desperate for it. I said to him, "So I'll stand back. I'll let you bid on it." And I shouldn't have done. But yeah, they're really rare and don't come up. And I guess that's because that sort of thing was designed to inflate, punch, and probably got a puncture and end up in the bin. So I have seen them come up. It's very, very rare they come up. And in fact, I can't remember who asked now. Someone mentioned earlier, is there something I regret not buying? And funny enough, someone had the box for one of them on eBay. This is going back years now. And I think they wanted £20 for it. And I didn't buy it. I don't know why I didn't buy it. I just remember, I remember thinking, oh, no point if I don't have the bag. But I should have bought it. It was so cheap, but I didn't. So yes, that was something I regret not buying. Lego Dimensions had a fantastic Ghostbusters Hub World. I bought the Lego Dimensions packs, but I never actually played it. So I can't say I know much about that, but I've got the packs with the figures in. I bought 2 packs of the one with Stay Puft in, so I could actually have the Stay Puft figure out, but I've also got a sealed one. It's funny, those packs, because I remember those packs, all the Lego Dimensions stuff being sold off really cheap when that game sort of come to an end. And I wonder if, because it was a game, if it put people off buying the figures. Whereas I think if they'd sold them as just figure packs, I think they might have sold a lot better, maybe. I don't know. Because they done quite a lot of cool figures for that. They did like Gremlins and all sorts. I hate the new packaging. It looks so ugly. I like the classic black packaging from around 2009. Yeah, I have to agree with you. I just think the khaki stuff, just like again, we all love the khaki jumpsuits. I just don't think it works as a packaging idea. It just looks really dull and boring. Ghostbusters Collector. I love the Panini retro sticker books. Ghostbusters, Real Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters 2, even Afterlife and Frozen Empire. Oh, sorry, love to do. Sorry, yes, I was thinking they didn't make sticker books for them. Sorry, didn't read that properly. Yes, I would absolutely love for them to do stuff like that. Like I used to love collecting the stickers and things. And yeah, they should totally do stuff like that. Absolutely. I remember seeing a little while back a Jurassic Park retro style. I'm sure it's a sticker book, or it might have been trading cards. I think it was a sticker book. I remember thinking they should do Ghostbusters stuff for that, because stuff like that. It's not too expensive to collect. Looks cool. It's very retro, and I'd prefer that to trading cards, because I did get all the Cryptozoic trading cards, and of course, funny enough, my first main proper job out of college was working in a trading card shop, so I've always had a little soft spot for trading cards. But obviously, with trading cards, you go down the route of trying to get all those autograph cards, and it ends up costing you a fortune, which you don't really have with the sticker books. And would absolutely love for them to do retro style sticker books. And again, seems like such a no-brainer, something that they should do, and wouldn't cost too much, especially for us collectors. They should totally do that. Ghostbusters guide. Do you know what happens with Playmobil's line after Afterlife and Frozen Empire would have made some good toys? I have no idea. I really thought they would have made Afterlife and Frozen Empire stuff for that. But yeah, it just seemed to die off, which is a shame, because I think if you look at it as a toy line for kids, that is that been bettered as a toy line? I mean, you had brilliant cars. I mean, I think the Playmobil cars were some of the best they've made, with all the features, lights, and all that, and they look pretty good as well. You had the Firehouse, you had all these different sets, and yeah, I totally think they should have done. I mean, obviously they could have done the Afterlife Ecto-1. I know a few people modded it. They could have done a Frozen Empire Exo-1, but they could have made obviously Egon's house. There was definitely potential, so I don't know why they didn't continue it after that. It's a shame. Absolute shame. This is a great line. Absolute great line. Live an Adventure. You had the original, but only ever got about 5 packs of stickers. I remember back in the day, I think you could buy whatever stickers you needed in some of the lines. One other thing I always remember collecting, which I thought was cool, and I'd love to see come back, it was a Turtles thing. And I remember there were little coins, and you could get like a cardboard folder that press them into. You could buy all the different characters, and I always remember thinking that was cool. And I'd love to see something like that come back for Ghostbusters, or anything really, I guess. But that was cool. I remember getting those coins. I can't remember what the coins cost. It's probably only like £1 or something back in the day, but I loved those. So where am I up to? What is your favourite Stay Puft figure you own? Mine is a Diamond Select Bank, and it looks the most accurate to the movie, in my opinion. So that is probably my second most favourite. And I definitely think probably you're right. It's probably one of certainly the most accurate ones. Because you've got the 12-inch and then you've got the 24-inch, and I don't know why there's something about the face on the 24-inch. It's like I think the 12-inch one is like 100% accurate, and the 24-inch, I don't know, is like 95% accurate. I think they might have stretched it out slightly. But also, I think the other good thing about the 24-inch, obviously it's bigger, but I do think that 12-inch is probably the definitely one of the most accurate ones. My favorite, which I'm just going to reach over and grab because it's right in front of me. Let's just grab this. These are quite rare nowadays. Is this one, which is Bandai SH Figure Arts. And this come with alternate faces. And again, I would say this is probably one of the most accurate ones. It doesn't really display well with any other Ghostbusters line, really, because it's quite small. But I just think, likeness wise, it was great. It was posable to an extent. And you can't come with these face plates. That's not the face plate. It is the plate. It was just come with when they sell it to you. But I'll just change it to that one because it's different, really. And they've only ever done that face twice. One come on a Diamond Select version, which I think was a New York Comic Con exclusive, remember right. And that looks a little off to me as well. But yeah, this is probably my favourite. But the bank, I think, is definitely a second favourite, certainly. And I do agree. Like I said, I think it's definitely one of the better ones. And I think if you get the 24-inch version, then yeah, displayed quite nicely with the rest of your stuff. Because obviously, one of the problems with Stay Puft figures is they're normally not much bigger than your figures. See, back in the day with the Kenner one, it was always annoying having a Stay Puft that was just a tad bigger than the rest of them. I remember getting a packet of real Ghostbusters Stay Puft marshmallows from Woolworths in 1988, 89. Came in a blue packet with white and pink marshmallows, if I remember right. I do remember some sort of Ghostbusters candy back in Woolworths. I can't remember. I do have some candy wrappers. I don't think I've got that one, but yeah, I do remember some stuff like that. Miss Woolworths. I've got some cool stuff from Woolworths. I think it's because Hasbro is the master toy license owner, so they couldn't continue making Playmobil. Could be right. I'm not really sure how that works, because I don't know if they're technically the same type of thing. But you could be on something there. I never thought of that. I was hoping for Lego to make Egon's Farmhouse. So was I. So was I. I think we all were. I think I would have made a really cool Lego set. Oh my god! I've always wanted that Stay Puft. I loved the angry face when it was getting blasted, as it looks so accurate. Yeah, I got it back not long after it came out, so it wasn't too pricey. I mean, it was still an expensive figure, but it wasn't as pricey as they tend to go for on there. I think they go for like a few £100 now, I think. Do you remember the Slimer Chew Bar in the late 80s? I used to love those. I do have a Chew Bar wrapper somewhere. I don't know if it's the one you're talking about, but I definitely have one. A Chew Bar wrapper. I'll have to find that. I don't know where it is. Do you see the newly announced Stay Puft figure? The face doesn't look very... Oh, yeah, I saw that flash up. Isn't that the Star Ace one? Isn't it like a burnt variant of it? Yeah, I haven't looked massively in depth to that yet. Because I haven't bought the previous one. But the previous one, yeah, I don't think the face is quite as good as obviously the Diamond Select. But also the alternate face looked like a mini puff, which I thought was a bit weird. Yeah, I mean, I will get them, but I'm not. It's not saying I'm in a rush to get. Someone needs to make Ghostbusters Arcade Shooter with a Neutrona one. Yeah, that would be absolutely cool. I think the only arcade game I've played recently, Ghostbusters, that I know of, is they got it down in an arcade down South End. I think the last time I was there, it wasn't working. And it like shoots these balls out. Look, it was not a bad game, to be fair. But yeah, but you kind of got this thing you're holding like that. But yeah, something where you're actually holding a proper wand would be very cool, very cool. I always think what Mattel would have done with Afterlife and Frozen Empire, that would have been cool to see. I think Mattel, unfortunately, I just think lost it a bit near the end. I don't really know why. Because I mean, they did do it. I think their toy line overall was really great. There was a few missed opportunities. So, Janine, no Terror Dogs, no Gozer. Beyond that, they didn't really miss anything out. And if you start getting into the sort of slightly more obscure characters, like, the mayor and things. But yeah, it would have been really cool to have seen what they would have done. Absolutely. And things might have been different had the films come along a bit sooner. But I don't know, they just seem to lose it a bit near the end. It's a shame because I like their toy line. It's a tough one because I kind of prefer Diamond Select in that they gave us the temple and all that. But I guess their figures were more detailed, but I think I prefer to look at the Mattel ones overall. If I had to pick between the two, definitely. And obviously they gave us more ghosts as well because you had quite a lot of ghosts as pack-ins with things. And obviously got the Scoleri brothers. Another thing that is don't get enough love, the Scoleri brothers. I do remember reading somewhere that license rights were slightly different for them, which I think is why Diamond Select didn't do them. I seem to remember there was someone from Diamond Select commenting. Might have been on the GB fans forum at some point. Talking to Scaleri Brothers masks, HalloweenCostumes.com. Absolutely buying them the day they become available. Yeah, Star Ace one, it doesn't look very nice, but the previous one, released one, looked very good to me. Yeah, I will get them because I know they're doing quite a lot of stuff, haven't they now? They've done Slimer, and they've got Pterodog. Have they got Pterodogs coming? I'm getting confused now. And I think they're doing the 4 Ghostbusters as well. I love that Ghostbusters game in the arcade. Wanted a home release. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do a home release. I don't have light gun games that much of a thing for home now. I mean, I remember playing I think it was a game called Gangster Town I had on the Master System, where you had a light gun and was shooting all the gangsters as they popped up, and then had to avoid shooting the civilians. And then House of the Dead. Was it House of the Dead 2? I think I had on the Dreamcast. That was a great fun playing those. So yeah, it would be cool if they could release that for home release and just make a very basic neutrona wand like light gun. Would be so cool, I think. And they could make that work with maybe something that worked with Spirits Unleashed would be very cool. Like, I don't know. Yes, they do have Pterodogs and the 4 Ghostbusters releasing, but the 4 Ghostbusters look terrible and not worth the money. Yes, I think I do remember seeing the Ghostbusters and they didn't look very good. Because also there was that other company making the quarter scale statues, and I remember they were very expensive. They made the Hollywood collectible statues look cheap, I think, in comparison, and they looked awful. Like, it was, I think most people joke that it looked like the stunt doubles. And I think if you're spending that sort of money on statues, they need to look the part. Especially in this day and age, I don't think there's an excuse for that. They should look good when, all the technology they've got now. I think there's no reason for them to look that bad. It's a shame. It is a shame. But anyway, I'm going to call an end to this stream in about 5 minutes because I've got to go and make dinner and stuff. I'm getting hungry. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I should do these more often. But if you have any more questions before I go, please put them in. People that joined last minute or sort of the last hour, I'm just going to, because I talked about the Guinness World Record quickly at the beginning, which was what the stream was originally about. So I'm just going to go quickly over the process again for anyone who missed that. So the process basically was recording it. I had my good friend Kieran, who was my expert. You had to have an expert and one other person help film you counting it. And then that video had to have a little counter in the bottom. And then you had to do a database with pictures, timestamps, descriptions, titles. So it's a lot of work. It took months basically before submitting that evidence. And then and then certain things are not included. You can't include unofficial merch. You can't include duplicates. And one item would count as what comes in the box. So if you had, like, say you had that Mattel 4-pack of the 4 Ghostbusters 2 figures, that counts as one item. So that was basically the whole process. I went into more detail about it earlier, but yeah. All right, so I don't like the Star Ace Slimer either, to be honest, but I'm very picky on how Slimer looks. I really like is the NECA Dancing Slimer. I love the NECA Dancing Slimer. Like, I actually bought another one very cheap on eBay the other day. And because I do a lot of stuff with him as a puppet, done a lot of videos with him, and took the insides out. It wasn't working when it arrived. Fixed it, and I used that inside black bin bag, which we had at our Southend display at London Comic Con for the Possessor Ghost. So he used the insides for that. But yeah, love it. I think that's probably my favourite Slimer. It's funny, isn't it, how Stay Puft and Slimer, there's so many different versions of obviously merch and how different they all look. Like especially Stay Puft. Stay Puft has such a simple looking face, and yet it seems like a lot of stuff doesn't ever get it right. Probably the worst one actually is the NECA Stay Puft. Looks completely weird, really. Although I do have a soft spot for that figure. It does look odd. When will you be able to get? I'll look at that probably at some point next week. I'll have to look at Roblox just because I'm going to got a busy few days with parties and stuff work wise. But I will look at that. Oh yeah, possessive beanbag I saw on your Instagram. Yeah, the idea just popped in there. It was very last minute. That was. Do you ever play Zelda 4? So I've never played a Zelda game, to be honest. I don't have a Nintendo console, so not something I can play. But you had to control 4 characters and use them in clever ways. Oh, okay, right. I see what you mean. That could make a good Ghostbusters game. Sounds interesting. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I always like the look of Zelda. Just, I think the last game Nintendo console I had was the GameCube, which I bought mainly for the Resident Evil remake they did back in the day. But that's making me feel old because that's got to be 20 years ago now, isn't it? I think that's quite kind of scary. um, yeah, I guess the sort of games I play a lot, Resident Evil type games. One of my favorite games is a game called Shenmue, which was on the Sega Dreamcast. Um, I bet none of you know what I'm talking about, do you? With that, but that's one of my favorite games. I used to love that. That was a game way ahead of its time. They did remasters of that on the Xbox and PlayStation a few years ago. They have the Ecto 1 in GTA 5. Oh, yep. So I think someone mentioned that earlier. There was a mod of the Ecto 1 in GTA 5. Yeah, I do. Oh, so you know Shenmue. Cool. Yeah, it's a very slow paced game, but just very atmospheric. And like I said, way ahead of its time in just the way everything was on it. And even nowadays, like I think because it was like an open world game, it wasn't a very big game. Like in terms of the area you had to walk around, certainly in the first one. But I just think it just felt like a real place almost. Like I think sometimes some of these open world games just feel like a massive playground, but not a real lived-in place, if that makes sense. Whereas I think Shenmue really captured that feeling, really like that. Have you made any props? I guess I put together my Ben Kent Proton pack, so I made that. I guess, but then I guess I don't know if I consider that making it as such because obviously he molded all the bits and sold them to me, and I'll put it together. So I guess kind of half made it, but if he hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to. No, I've never made a lot of props. I think some of the stuff I've had more fun making, like made this slime bathtub toy, things like that. I've not made a lot of props. I've modded a lot of props, like the old Matty Collector props. I modded all those back in the day, which was a kind of regret of mine. Because I kind of wish I kept them in box. I actually had massive luck with some of those props because I've been looking for them for a reasonable price for years. Because basically, I modded the goggles, I modded the trap, I I didn't really do a lot of modding to the PK other than take the sound out. I can't remember the guy's name now. Was selling sound kits to make it sound more accurate. So I put that in. I didn't do any paint work or anything to that, but really painted the goggles and the trap. I actually sold the Neutrona one at one time when they were going for loads of money to fund something. And say I regretted all that. And then earlier, I think it was just after Christmas. I got the. I'm trying to remember what I got now. I think I got the Neutrona wand, the PK meter, and the goggles for £300 for all three, which to me was a bargain. Always on the lookout for a trap. I mean, I think that trap was absolutely amazing. I thought that PKE meter. I don't think there has still been a better PKE meter. We'll see if this Hasbro one, obviously, I think should be better, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, I love the electronics in the trap and everything. I think it was great, and I use that a lot in my shows and stuff still for demonstrations. But yeah, absolutely modded it. But I'd love to get one that's unmodded. I think the price of those is going to drop quite a bit once this 2 in the box comes out, because I would imagine the 2 in the box version should be better in theory. Because they've got 10. No, hold on. How many years is it since that came out? Is it 10 years? Might be longer. Of things to improve. So I think the price of them is going to drop a lot because the Matty wand prices dropped obviously when the Hasbro wands come out. Sorry. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with stuff. Oh, okay, yep. Yeah, the caddy. Yep, right. Resident Evil is my favorite series. 4 being my favorite. Yep, Resident Evil. Been playing Resident Evil since it first came out on the PlayStation. Um, Resident Evil 4 is an epic game. Really, I've really enjoyed the remakes of all of 2, 3, and 4. I think have been really good. Um, there are issues. I know a lot of content was cut from 3, like that was in the original. Um, I think the most disappointing thing about 2 for me was the B scenario didn't feel much different. I think could have been improved. But yeah, very atmospheric. And what I liked about 2 specifically, which I don't they probably did with the others, I just never looked into it, was you could buy like an add-on to have original music from the original game, which I think really adds to it. But yeah, I love those games. Curious to see what will be next. I think they have said they're definitely working on a Resident Evil game, or they've officially said they have, but they haven't said anything more about it. I would love to see a remake of Code Veronica. Would be my next one, personally, because that was one of my favourites of the original like style of game. Um, yeah, I loved Code Veronica. I had really creepy vibes in it. I thought that was really good. So I'd be curious to see what they do next, though, because there's been rumours of them remaking one again in the sort of new camera angle style, which would be cool. Yeah, I'd love to see what they do next. I love all that sort of immersive survival horror stuff. I'm not massive online gamer. I like to sit down and just sort of put headphones on and get into it. Another favourite game of mine is Alien Isolation. I thought was really well done game. The Mattel Trap is very good, but so expensive. I've seen it on $3,000. God, they really go for that now. I mean, it's good, but it ain't worth that sort of money. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't pay $1,000 for it. I mean, when they were going for that sort of money, I'm trying to think. I think it was $150 when it came out. Although, correct me if I'm wrong. Um, I'm sure it's about that. But yeah, it is a great bit of kit. Yeah, really well done. I mean, from the demos that they've shown, I think the Hasbro one will be better, but we'll have to wait and see on that, won't we? But yeah, for it, I think that, like I said, I think the price is going to drop quite a lot. I don't think you're going to end up getting one for £100, but I think the price will drop. As the 1984 Trainer one by Hasbro sold it had done. I don't know whether it come back in stock or not, but as far as I know, it's not exclusive to their website. I think it was exclusive to their website for a few months, and then it was going to come back, be available in other retailers. I wasn't. I will get it, definitely, but I wasn't in a rush for it really. But I will get it. Did you play Code? Oh yes, I think I just talked about that. Yes, was one of my favourites. Really loved the sort of creepy vibes on some of that. I love Code Veronica. Was one of my favourites. It'd be interesting to see how they tackle a remake of that if they do it, because obviously the villain you had this sort of cross-dressing angle, and I don't know. I'm not sure that would work quite so well in today's age. It might do. I think they'd have to. There's one point where Claire calls him a cross-dressing freak, and I don't think a lineup that would go down well in the modern world. So I think they'd have to play around a little bit with it, but I have to wait and see. But yeah, I would absolutely love a remake of that. I'm making Ghostbusters cosplay. Have any advice and recommendations? So it depends on your budget, really. But for my personal rule with cosplay is I've never worried too much. I mean, I try and make my stuff as accurate as possible, but to me, I would rather it look good than a bit naff but accurate. I don't know if that really makes sense. Like when I was modding my Matty goggles, for example, I wanted to remove all the plastic molded on nuts and bolts and put metal ones on. And I'm trying to think what those bits are called. You know, the bits that stick out of the goggles. I can't think the name of them. If I had them easily accessible, I'd show you. I'll put some bits in that not screen accurate at all, but they're real metal. So to me, they just look good. So that's one of my personal rules. But ultimately, I always say do what you want to do. So because you do get people that get snobby about this sort of stuff, and they'll go, "Oh, well, that's wrong on it." It's like, I'm the one wearing it. I don't give a shit what you say, basically. But yeah, get a jumpsuit. Obviously, probably the first thing. And again, depending on your budget, I mean, you can probably find a cheap £20 beige jumpsuit or overalls, and if that's your budget, go for that. If you've got the money, if you've got a lot of money, you've got the Magnolia version, which is obviously more accurate. But always just say, do what you want to do, really, with your cosplay. It's your costume. If you want to change things up as well, there's people that wear completely some people would say the wrong color jumpsuit. But again, if that's what you want to do, go for it. One thing to bear in mind is weight. Obviously, proton packs can be very heavy. So, I mean, I think my younger self would never say what I'm about to say, but try and make it as light as possible if you're going to wear it all day. One other thing I always say, because some people get really thingy about the boots being accurate, comfort should always overrule accuracy when it comes to your footwear, as far as I'm concerned. So if your boots aren't comfortable, you're going to have a horrible day if you're out at a convention all day. So I always say comfort is another thing that's important. Elbow pads, normally GB fans is the best place to get those, but you can get like karate or martial arts knee pads, spray them grey. Again, if you want to keep them white, again, entirely up to you. I mean, the good thing about the cosplay stuff nowadays is it's so much more accessible. A lot of this stuff. I mean, you've got so many versions of the trap. There's a version now that is literally just a static prop that's just plastic. Doesn't do anything. You've got that as an option. One of our guys was wearing one of those the weekend, just freeze of use. Didn't plan on getting it out and using it. So yeah. I did do a video on, well, probably a couple of years ago now on different stuff. But yeah, if you have any other questions about that, feel free to comment on my other videos and I'll answer them. Hasbro Trap is defo better when I saw it in person. Yeah, do you know what? I didn't actually I saw the figures in person, but I didn't see the trap in person at Ghostbusters Day. So I've only seen that on video. But it does look better on the videos. I finished them all apart from RE Zero and Code Veronica. Oh, okay. I recommend going back and finishing them. To me, Zero wasn't really necessary, personally, as a game, but I loved Code Veronica. And to me, that was really the proper Resident Evil 3. Like, I feel like you could kind of bypass 3 if you wanted, because, I mean, whereas Code Veronica, you kind of had, Claire finally finding Chris and all this sort of stuff. But what amazes me with Code Veronica is the people that, because you obviously get people to do run throughs to get good scores, and the people that do that without any saves, because there's this one point in Code Veronica, it's very near the end, where you have this ball that has a security card to get through a door in. And you're supposed to put that on the floor, and then this thing comes down and crushes it. That is the most frustrating thing. I don't think I've ever done it first time without dying, because you basically have to walk forward, put it on the floor. After that, the character moves back automatically, the thing comes down. But it's getting to that point and putting it on the floor before that thing comes down and just squishes you. And it's so frustrating. And if you've gone through a few hours to get to that point without saving, I think I'll throw the telly out the window. So that's the most frustrating bit. I want to get your patch, and I do sell my patches. I was talking about that earlier. This is the only version of my patch I have available at the moment. They're £11 posted in the UK or £13 posted internationally. Or I do have my Vigo patch. I hope someone mods the video game and tries to make the deleted parade. Yeah, that would be cool. I was really hoping that's what would happen when they re-released it, actually. A couple of years ago, was it? They re-released it on the Xbox and PlayStation. It's a shame no one did that, because that looked like it had quite a lot of potential. It's a shame, because I think you were supposed to cut through Razor Cult Bookshop as well, I believe, if I remember rightly, which would have been very cool to see. But yes, anyway, so I think I'm gonna have to go and make dinner now. So yeah, getting hungry. But thank you everyone for joining me. I'm gonna try and do these a bit more often because I've really had fun doing it. But yeah, thanks for watching as always. Really appreciate it. And thanks for all the questions. I must admit, when I started this stream, I thought I'd probably be on for about half hour, and we're at 2 hours 15. So yeah, it's been really, really cool. Really, really happy. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I've got I know I mentioned earlier my camera broke. I do have quite a lot of videos filmed. There will be one coming soon from the London Comic Con. I must admit, I've been a little bit videoed out, so I didn't film as much at that as I probably would have liked to. But I was editing so much from New York, I just kind of needed to step back from videoing a bit. So I filmed a little bit. There'll be a video on that, but I've got other stuff. So there's loads of videos planned and scheduled. And then hopefully I'll fix my camera and have loads of other stuff. But if you have any ideas for videos you want me to do, let me know. With the new Sony cinemas, do you think they'll sell Ghostbusters merch? I didn't even know there was Sony cinemas. Is that a new thing I've missed out on? That's news to me, to be honest. But hopefully, if Sony are actually getting into the cinema game, hopefully they would do Ghostbusters merch. That seems like an obvious thing for them to do. But you never know with these companies. But yeah, we'd hope so. We'd definitely hope so. But they'd probably only do it in America or not here. Because you saw what happened with all the cinema merch for Afterlife and Frozen Empire. But yeah, I'm going to look that up in a minute. I didn't know about that. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to head off now. So thank you, everyone. And hopefully I will see you in the next video. Anyway, thanks for joining me. It's been really good. So bye, everyone. Thank you.